going to talk maybe one of the most peculiar urban contemporaneous communities. I refer the neighborhood of Harlem. It is localized within New York City. The Europeans began to explore the region at the beginning of the 16th century. In 1664, the Dutch West India Company sent some 30 families to live and work in the settlement that they called New Amsterdam, which grew quickly. It became the second largest city in the American colonies. African slaves comprised 40% of the population of the city. Some of them have achieved freedom and settled within the five boroughs, especially in Harlem. Okay, the name Harlem comes from Dutch Haarlem, which means place on sand covered with trees higher than others. Harlem became an expansion during 1880. For this year, we have built the elevated liner, as well as many row houses and multiple apartment buildings were erected. During the 1920s, Harlem flourished with cultural and artistic expression, despite the race discrimination against the black people in the United States. That age was known like Harlem Renaissance. Black people show to world the blacks are intellectual, artistic, and human. Them should be treated accordingly. Today, Harlem is well known internationally as the black mecca of the world. The peculiar shapes of the life will be shown by my partners in suite.
Now we are going to talk about famous people. In this point, we talk uh, about politics, actors, literature and poetry, painters, music, and radio. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a clearly gay man, an activist, and he was a leader in the African American civil rights movement. He was the king and he received the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolence. Now, Al Pacino was a successful actor. He, his real name was Alfredo James. He was an American film and stage actor and director. He is famous for playing mobster in the Godfather trilogy, and he has received seven previous Oscar nominations, including one in that same year. Now, in literature and poetry, we have Claude McKay. He was Harlem Shadow. He became one of the first African American works published by a major publisher Powerful Country. Jan Toomer, she writes an experiment a novel that combines poetry and prose to show rural life in southern and northern urban Black America. The name was Kane. Jesse Fawcett received the first Nobel for his book Confusion. She represents the life of the African American middle class from the point of view of a woman. Aaron Douglas was a painter and graphic artist who played a leading role in the Harlem Renaissance of the 20s and 30s. He contributed illustration to national magazines. He was sometimes referred to as the father of Black American art. William Henry Johnson was one of the greatest American artists of the 20th century. His style evolved from realism to expressionism to a powerful folk style, for which he is best known. His work always evokes transitory and sublime sensations. Louis Armstrong, his nickname is Bob, was an American jazz trumpeter and singer. He had influence on popular music in general. He crossed over, whose skin color was secondary to his music in an America that was severely racially divided. Lucille Boland, she was an American blues singer, among the first to be recorded. Her nickname was Bessie Jackson. She was in the big three of the blues. Ella Fitzgerald, also known as the Queen of Jazz. She was the winner of 13 Grammy Awards and was awarded the National Medal of Art. Finally, the radio. They used this way to express their desire for work without oppression and without racism.
Now I'm to talk about the Harlem lifestyle. One of the most interesting activities that you can do if you go to Harlem is go to a church with gospel songs. There are many Baptist congregations that meet every Sunday for a religious service that can last almost 3 hours, and in which the whole community participates with religious gospel songs. One fact to consider if you want to go to this kind of church is that you must be dressed properly. You maybe have to avoid use short pants or short skirts. Other important part of the culture of Harlem is the graffiti. The people of the community had created the most amazing murals that you could see around New York City, all of them made completely with spray paint. The paintings include memorials to fallen friends, heroes, or famous people in the neighborhood. Graffiti can be considered like a crime, but the people use it like a form of expression to demand a world without oppression and without racism. Harlem always had been a very violent neighborhood, but in the last year the crime had increased and the tourism had increased. However, Harlem continues to struggle with major crimes such as shootings, robbery, and homicide, indicating a neighborhood still in transition.
Okay, people, now it's time to talk about the Harlem landmarks. The Harlem landmarks are the most important places where whoever people that is visiting Harlem must be gone. Okay, the first place where I'm going to talk you is the 125th Street. It is also called Martin Luther King Jr. a two-way street that runs east-west in the New York borough of Manhattan, considered the main street of Harlem. Many sections of the street have been gentrified and developed with, with such stores, and the historic Apollo Theater is here. Actually, in collaboration with the community, the city has developed a plan of the street corridor focusing on resourcing and building upon the tracks and art and cultural corridor. The Apollo Theater that is located in the 120th Street into Harlem is a musical hall in the United States and the most famous club associated almost exclusively with African American performance. It is listed of the National Register of Historic Places and was the home of the Showtime at the Apollo, a nationally syndicated television variety show consisting of the new talent. The Vision Baptist Church is a church located in Harlem neighborhood of New York, United States. It has served as a space for African American spirituality, politics, and community. The church was an important seat of religious music in the Harlem region. For example, the music gospel. It remains a center of the Harlem gospel tradition. Fats Waller's father was once minister at the church. Now, talking about the Cotton Club, the Cotton Club was a famous jazz music nightclub located in Harlem neighborhood of the New York City, which operated from 1923 to 1940, most notably during American Prohibition era. The club was a white-only establishment even though it featured many of the greatest black entertainers of the era. During its heyday, the Cotton Club served as a hit meeting spot featuring regular celebrity nights on Sundays, which featured celebrity guests. A Club Mackay residence, also known as the Harlem YMCA, is located in the Harlem neighborhood. This is an African American author, Clyde Mackay, lived here, and Bill Clinton is a current member. It was declared a National Historic Landmark. The Harlem YMCA is a significant landmark of black culture in New York City, intended primarily of the use of African men. It was at the time of the best equipped YMCA in the United States. Many notable black Americans have stayed in the facility, including